Hello party people, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tori. Thank you so much for being here today. This is my second time recording this video because the first time I was out of focus. So I hope I'm in focus. For today's video, I wanted to talk about current summer trends and more specifically why I've been feeling super uninspired this summer. I'm also going to tell you some of the things that, despite all of this lack of inspiration, what has been inspiring me, so we don't end it on a depressing note. So let's just hop in. So let me preface this by saying that I love a good trend. I'm someone who feels like they have a really great hold on like what the basics and the foundation of their wardrobe and their personal style is. So I always love to incorporate trends every year and like try and test out ones that I can or ones that I think kind of align with like my aesthetics or like my interests, just to kind of like try on a new personality, can maybe unlock a persona that I didn't know I had. So let's talk about this summer. I feel like personally this summer trends that I've been seeing, whether that's on my feeds or whether that's like in like media outlets. Before this video I looked up like what places like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and Glamour and Refinery 29 were talking about for the summer, and everything felt so stale. Let me list off the reasons why I feel like they feel stale. I wrote down all of my reasons, so let's talk about it. The first reason why I feel like very uninspired by the trends are mostly because I feel like they're rehashed versions of trends or pieces that we've talked about before. I wrote down examples, like one of them I was like, the weird girl aesthetic kind of just feels like a morphed version of clowncore, and I don't know if it's actually true as to whether or not weird girl aesthetic kind of derives from clowncore, but for me personally, and just like the vibe I've been getting from like creators and from like everything I consume online. Hello party people, editing Tori here, just hopping on real quick. I just wanted to clarify that the weird girl aesthetic also takes inspiration from the Harajuku street style photos from the 90s and early 2000s that were popularized in Fruits magazine. I still stand by my gut feeling that clowncore and the weird girl aesthetic are kind of one and the same, because I do feel like both of them, especially the way they were popularized online, really took inspiration from clowncore, but also I feel like clowncore also took a lot of inspiration from Harajuku. So yeah, I just wanted to share that I got this mic and now I'm appropriating podcast culture. They both love mixing really bright or really funky prints and patterns and colors. I feel like there's a lot of playfulness when it comes to like kitschy jewelry and the forms and shapes those can take. I feel like they also play a lot with like the very similar like fabrics, whether that's tulle, whether that's plastic. They give off very similar energy to me. The second example was the coastal grandma aesthetic. I really love the coastal grandma aesthetic, but personally it kind of just feels like we've rebranded the classic summer staples to try and make them fun and new for people who like maybe like never embraced those before, which is like really interesting, and I kind of love it because last summer I talked a lot about how I love a good linen pant and how I feel like a linen button-down shirt is just something that just feels very summer to me, along with like you know, a nice straw hat or a tote bag, and I feel like all of those pieces also kind of fall into the coastal grandma aesthetic. And I mean, more power to all the girlies who are finally seeing the truth in a linen pant. But if you've been here, you're like, welcome to the club. We've been waiting. Also, I just like to toot my own horn for a second. In the fall, I talked a lot about how I thought equestrian chic was going to be a really big trend because we saw a lot of Western moments, but now I do kind of feel like equestrian chic is kind of similar to the coastal grandma aesthetic. Like the daughter of the coastal grandma is the mom that's embracing equestrian chic. Like she is the one wearing a riding boot in the streets of New York in the fall, but she's also wearing a linen pantsuit to the Hamptons in the summer. So I feel like I get half a point there. I'm gonna give myself half a point for that. But there is a silver lining. I feel like because the trends that are currently big this year feel like rehashed versions of trends from last year, it just means that people are less focused now on micro trends, and I feel like people are more focused on like an aesthetic or a artistic choice overall, if that makes sense. Like I love to see that people are re-wearing clothing that they wore last summer, or like they're still embracing the same kind of style that they wore last year, because hello, clothes can be rewashed, and the more clothes that we keep in our closets and the less clothes we are buying are always good. It's always good to consume less. I've also been noticing like things I've been waiting to like hit the mass market have finally hit. Like I talked about chains, I want to say in the beginning of 2021 as like really fun accessories or as like bag details, and I feel like the chain element can now be seen in so many designer collections and in so many like more affordable or at least more consumer friendly brands like Pandora and stuff like that. I love to see it, but I'm also like, I've been waiting. Another reason why I feel very uninspired by current trends is because I kind of feel like they're not for me. Either like they don't fit my aesthetic taste or it kind of feels like a little gatekeepy. I don't know. But so my first example for a trend that I feel like is just not my thing but is so huge right now is kind of like the sporty Balenciaga peachy den moment. You know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like those outfits that have the parachute pants, the kitten heels, and the super sporty sunglasses. I think that trend looks super cool on other people, but for me, I don't subscribe to it. There's just something about like all those key pieces that I kind of don't like them individually on me. Like the parachute pants just feel like they would trap sweat on my legs and I would just be miserable. Kitten heels, especially the ones that look like sneakers, are like literally the bane of my existence. I don't know why, but I just like, I can't. I personally can't stand them, but when I see them on like other people, I'm like, oh my god, you look so cute. Like that works for you. And then the third one is the sporty sunglasses, which I think they're actually really fun and cool, but like again for me, I'm like, I know my face shape and like they would definitely sit on my cheeks and like that's not a cute look either. So I feel like those three things, I'm like, maybe I'm not a sporty Balenciaga girl, okay? I'm an Olsen twin Balenciaga girl and I'm okay with that. And then an example for a trend that feels super gatekeepy to me is specifically the Matilda Djerf Avenue girl aesthetic or like the craze. I feel like this brand has really like popped off this year and it's become like a brand that everyone kind of uses as a buzzword and stuff. And I think their collection is so cute. I have like their blazer literally on my spring and summer mood board, but for me personally, I just feel like the outfits are so basic, not in like a derogatory way, but they're very basic. Like it's like an oversized blazer, like a suit two-piece, a really nice well-made cotton rib tee. But because these pieces are so simple, it's like you can only be a Djerf girl if you buy the exact pieces. Like you can't just be inspired by Matilda and her collection, like you need to spend $300 on this matching set. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like the Djerf girly, I feel like even if it's not intentional, the messaging that I'm kind of getting from all this like hype around it is that if you're not actually wearing Djerf Avenue, are you really into the aesthetic? Like you kind of have to pay to play to call yourself inspired by Matilda Djerf, but I don't like that. I just wanted to expand on this idea because I don't think I talked about it or like expressed it very well. But I just wanted to say I feel like this issue of like gatekeeping happens a lot with super trendy brands, and I feel like Djerf Avenue isn't like the first one, but right now I'm really feeling it from like their fan base. I feel like we've seen this in like other brands where like shopping with them also kind of signals like your personal morals. Like think like shopping reformation makes you eco-conscious. So Djerf Avenue, like other brands like Reformation, not only champion themselves as like being for the cool consumer, but they also kind of brag about their sustainability practices, which recently have come under major criticism. And they celebrate their consumers because they're shopping small. So not only are you cool if you shop their clothing, but you know, by shopping with them, that signals that you're an eco-conscious consumer. That means that like you love to support small businesses, which we all have kind of seen as like an inherently good thing to do. I feel excluded from it, or I feel like it kind of excludes people from like embracing Matilda Djerf as like an inspiration, or like the aesthetic of the brand as an inspiration, because they're like, well, if you're not buying this exact piece, if you're buying a dupe, that means not only are you not really participating in the trend, but you're also like not being a good consumer because you're not supporting a small brand and you're not being eco-friendly. I don't think this phenomenon is like intentional by like the marketing team of Djerf or like anything like that, but I kind of just think it's like a byproduct of what happens like when a brand just becomes super popular very quickly, and like the brand identity kind of hinges on you like buying the brand and supporting the influencer kind of like no matter what. Yeah, I don't know if this makes sense. I feel like I feel this way about so many brands, like Reformation, Cezanne, Rouge. I don't know. Let me know if that made sense, but that's just how I feel. Okay, in a kind of similar vibe, the third reason why I'm not really feeling inspired this is because I feel like a lot of the styling techniques and a lot of the influencers and creators and just like images I'm like being fed to online are either like people showing off the brands that they can afford, or they're showing off their bodies. Brings me back to like the question, like, is it a fit, or is this person conventionally attractive? Like, is this a fit, or is this person just wearing a $10,000 outfit filled with different designer and boutique brands? I don't know if that makes me a hater, or if that just makes me like, I can see you, makes me like, I notice the details, but I have just been feeling really bleh about it. I've literally been feeling this way for like, I want to say like 2 months now, like 6 weeks, 2 months. Yeah, I don't post on TikTok anymore because of like this feeling of like everyone is just flexing like everything that I don't have to my face. Same thing with like Instagram right now too. The algorithm has just not been scratching the itch in my brain that I want. And then the fourth and final reason why I have not been feeling inspired by current trends right now is just because I feel like I'm still months back. I am still not trying to catch up necessarily, but I'm still like hunting for trends that were popular like 4 months ago. Like I just bought a long denim skirt. I just bought a sporty A-line black skirt that everyone was rocking 4 months ago. I'm kind of in my own world, and because I'm in my own orbit, sometimes it's fun to like be independent of trends, but then sometimes I'm like, well, I can't even like partake in this conversation. I've said my piece. I've said all the negative things I needed to say, but one thing that has kind of been giving me inspiration throughout all of like this lack of exterior inspiration is this mood board that I made at the beginning of spring and summer this year, kind of as like a guiding theme of to what I wanted my outfits this spring and summer to look like. I really liked this, and I think I'm going to make one for like for fall and winter as well, but I really liked this because it kind of kept my sights on the big picture. So whenever I wanted to buy something, I thought about like, okay, well, what are the things that like I was crazy about earlier? Is this kind of in the same fold, or do I just want to buy something to buy something? Which I thought was actually very helpful and not as restrictive on like my creativity as I thought it would be. Because I had this mood board, I bought that with jean dress. I've been reminded that I've had these clogs, so I've been finding more opportunities to wear them and to style them. I also love that the Barbie pink is on here, and when I look at this, I'm like, okay, she's cute. I love her, but I need to wear more of her this spring and summer. I got this really fun like Princess Polly dress that they kindly gifted to me, but now I'm like, okay, I wore that once in Hawaii, which is like the peak time to wear something that's Barbie pink, but I need to rewear it again. So now like kind of finding different ways to style that in perhaps a more casual way, or even in a more fun and dressy way, is definitely like is on the top of my brain. You can even see I have like a Jerf Avenue like blazer on this because I really wanted it. But I love this collage because it feels like simple enough where like I can find inspiration in it, but it also doesn't feel like it's telling me, okay, you can only wear these things and you can't wear anything else. Moving on, so to keep the positivity going, I'm going to share some of the things I've actually been liking lately and things that I think I want to see more of, or that if I find them in the wild, at the mall, on eBay, I will be purchasing them. So the first thing that I have on here is popcorn tops. I actually bought a popcorn top at the thrift to see if I really liked it. I will be honest, I hated it at first, but I also think that's because I didn't realize what a popcorn top was. I kind of thought it was one of those tops that was like one size fits all, and like that doesn't fit and work for my body. Turns out I was right the first time. When popcorn tops first came out, they mostly came out in a one size fits most kind of sizing, but it's 2022, and even though old trends are coming back, they are becoming more size inclusive. So now I like this trend. I know popular brands like Marine Serre and Stussy still make them in like the one size fits most way, which is like, ugh. But I know a lot of retailers are making them in sizes, which is fun, and it makes it a fun trend to embrace, in my opinion. So I've really been liking popcorn tops. I can definitely see it as a top that kind of becomes the new second skin top because you can really layer with it in really fun ways. It can also be something that, because of its shine and depending on the color you get, it can be like something that's really dressed up or something that can be a little bit more youthful and playful. Another thing I wrote on here is I'm still loving clogs. I talked about this before. It's on my vision board, but also I'm like contemplating buying these Gucci ones, which I know is silly because they're rubber. But consider the fact that it's my life. I can do what I want. But I think these are really fun. I also have been really eyeing the JW Anderson clogs. They kind of just look like Birkenstocks, but with this really gorgeous chain on it. There might be more clogs in my future. We'll see. The next thing I wrote on here is pleated skirts. I feel like this is kind of different from like the tennis skirt that we saw before, but I feel like it's definitely going to be something we'll see more and will be more accessible like this winter and fall, because I feel like it's a nice medium between the long skirts we've been wearing and like a mini tennis skirt. And I was definitely inspired by Michelle Zauner's 7 Looks in 7 Days video where she wore a skirt like this, and it's been on my mind ever since. And then I also wrote down on here that I'm loving the color lilac purple. I just thrifted a satin skirt in this color, and I have a cardigan in this color, and it just is a color that feels very fun and bright and makes me happy. And so I don't know if that's on my mind. Obviously I feel like when people think of like fall and winter, people think of like gem tones, but I also think of like pastel winter vibes. And so I definitely want to see how I can style these pieces for right now when it's like 90 degrees, but also like later when it's just a cool 70 in California. The last bit on pieces that I'm liking right now, which don't really fall into like an aesthetic or like in a popular trend, are bowler bags. I feel like bowler bags are going to come back. And one thing that I've noticed a lot lately is that a lot of designer brands are trying to push like super structured bags to the general public. I just saw a huge Instagram spawn con for this Burberry bag. I saw one a while ago for like the Lady Dior bag. I feel like a structured bag is nice. However, I do feel like the ones that I'm being told to purchase are just like, they feel very uptight to me. But I love a bowler bag because I feel like this kind of style lends itself to be more playful. They have like very kitschy ways people used to style this during like the early aughts and like the McBling era. And because we are on the cusp of another recession, I feel like we're gonna go back to styling things like we did in the McBling era. And I don't know, I love a bowler bag. I want to see more of them. So far I've only seen them on like sites like Urban Outfitters, but I'm really hoping that like maybe more like boutique designers start making bags in this shape, because I feel like it's so fun. It's like the perfect medium between like these super structured Jacquemus Dior bags and like the crescent bags that a lot of like smaller boutiques are making right now. And then the last style that I think is really cool that I want to pop off is a barrel bag. It's kind of like similar to the bowler bag in the sense that it's structured, but it's not uptight like these other like more geometric shaped bags. I saw a like Louis Vuitton Papillon bag in real life the other day, and I was like, that is the cutest bag I've ever seen. I wish we had more of those. So that one's on my list, and I feel like that one also kind of makes sense because it kind of has like a nice shape in the same way that mini bags have had for a really long time, but you can throw more stuff in them. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you were in the same boat as me and have been feeling really uninspired, don't worry, you're not alone. But if you have been feeling inspired this spring and summer, please let me know what's been inspiring you lately, whether that's fashion trends, music, movies, media, anything. I would love to hear about it because I desperately need something to inspire me. Yeah, if you want to see more of me, please feel free to follow me on Instagram or on TikTok. I don't know if I'm ever going to post again on TikTok, but I be posting some silly stuff down there. Thanks so much, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye!